So this is me, and this is my dad, and I was trying to help him rank up. Let me explain. You see, my dad had been playing a lot of squad fills rank 0 builds lately, and so far he had managed to slowly grind his way up to elite. However, a lot of the time his fill teammates were super trash, and on top of that, ranked is infested with cheaters currently. So it was definitely not helping that he was running into aimbotters every other game or so. Now, when I heard of his struggles, I decided to help him get into champs, and since he was around 50% in elite, it meant that we'd only need to get 3 decent games to rank my dad up. And in our first game, things had been going pretty good up until I got beamed by a bush camper, and then of course got zapped out of the sky. Now luckily my dad managed to get my reboot card and reboot me, but we were definitely going to have to be careful since those guys with crazy aim were still alive. That didn't mean we weren't going to fight though, and my dad and I were playing really well together as a team. But unfortunately for us, zone was a max pull, and the rest of the entire lobby was all focusing us while this other brain dead team was trying to jump us. A 4th place wasn't bad though, and so we hopped into our second game. Now off spawn everything went pretty well, except when my guns randomly decided to start spazzing out, but whatever that bug was fixed itself pretty quickly, and we went on to get a few easy limbs. Now unfortunately, right as we went to rotate, a team of campers knocked my dad and I had to reboot him. So after rebooting, we went off to third party some fights to get good loadouts for both of us. And we did manage to snag a few kills, but in typical ranked fashion, right as we tried to exit Storm, we started getting shot by 3 different teams who were all holding us at the edge of zone. Eventually, after rebooting again, we did manage to make it into a safe spot in zone, but we were desperately lacking any bunkers, which meant that when we would eventually get pushed out of our building, we would not be in a good situation. And so when we finally did have to rotate, we were forced to try and fight the low ground team for their cover. But that's when the rest of the lobby all collectively decided to eject us from the game, and we got another 4th place. That game was still pretty good though, and with my dad only needing around 10% to finally make it into champs, we loaded into our 3rd and final game where we hoped we wouldn't have any hackers in our lobby. Now since this was our last game, we knew we were going to have to play it really smart, and so we landed on an armored truck off spawn. That way I could have the mythic burst, and so we could also have the super tanky truck in case we needed cover. Then, once we were all looted up, we zoomed off in the truck to look for any easy kills we could find. And after a little bit of searching, we found this pretty active side of the map that had a lot of guys rotating on through, and so we started farming kills. Now we weren't WKing too hard because we didn't want to accidentally get stuck between a bunch of teams and die, but we were still both going kind of crazy, with even my dad hitting some very nice shots. Then when we had to rotate to zone, we found this massive fight going on, and so we swooped on in to clean up all the kills. So after hitting a couple home runs on those guys, I realized that endgame was upon us, meaning that we would somehow need to acquire some bunkers fast. Unfortunately, there wasn't any chests nearby to search, and even though we were beaming everybody that was trying to get near our spot we had set up shop, we weren't actually able to go and loot their bodies, since the second we were exposed out in the open, we knew the entire lobby would all spray us. Now I did have 2 shield bubbles, but as zone closed in more, I was forced to use both of them to protect us from all the annoying guys focusing us. And once both of our shield bubbles had run out, legitimately everybody else in the lobby all started shooting us, even though they could have shot any of the other guys that were all standing still out in the open trying to get the kill on me and my dad. So naturally, we got another 4th place, but thankfully it was enough for my dad to rank up into champ. Also, if this short gets to either 100,000 likes or gets me 10,000 subscribers, I'll help my dad reach Unreal. No pressure, of course.